So I guess that, yeah, obviously after Oscar and Felipe's introduction about the Latin America and all the possibilities and all the the potential that happens there, I think I wanted to highlight the fact that at this stage, XR in general, it's almost like a jungle in the sense that great things can come from anywhere, and not only they can come from anywhere, is the fact that they had come from anywhere. I've been in most festivals in the last years. I met a lot of people, apart from the obvious like US, sometimes kind of like they're really strong because they invest a lot in technology, and most of the platforms and the headsets are from there. So US, you have China, but in general, people come from anywhere. And that's one of my favorite things, and I hope it stays like that. And then when I was thinking about like VR and XR in Latin America, there was a really strong realization that most people have gone through especially in the last year, is the fact that some of the strongest VR pieces I've seen, they have come from Latin America. And you see, this is like 3 of the ones that I want to highlight, but I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure there are more that I haven't even seen. But they've come from, and I know the 3 cases really well, they have come from almost nothing, from just an idea, just talent, a lot of effort. At some point they co-produce, or they don't, if they don't need to, but these ideas don't rely necessarily on other, like on like, I mean, they actually came from nowhere, in the sense that there was no special support initially. There was no, it's just like pure people wanting to tell the stories that came from, in this case, it was Brazil with The Line, Chile with Haifa, and Gloomy Eyes, that started in Argentina. And not only they were like 3 strong, some of the strongest VR experiences, is like The Line won one of the biggest narrative festivals in VR in the world, which is Venice. And it's been all over the world. People love it, and it was released on Quest, which is like the biggest, one of the biggest headsets in terms of distribution. Haifa is a Chilean piece that was, I think it was originally conceived for the Museum of Fungi in Santiago, and I personally went to see the installation there. I thought it was beautiful. I met Natalia, the creator, and Sebastian, and in different festivals, and I really admire what they were doing. They were taking an idea that otherwise it would have like happened locally, but they were taking it all over the world, and I kept seeing them in a lot of festivals, and it was really really important what they were doing. And then they ended up at Sundance in January, which I couldn't go to check it, but I saw the pictures. I talked with some people who tried it, and everyone was really, really impressed. And also the fact that it came from out of any of the big studios, or out of some of the big countries who produce a lot of VR. And then Gloomy Eyes, which is a piece that I had the privilege to be part of from episode 2. It's an incredible narrative experience told in 3 episodes that started from the 2 directors and the studio 3DAR in Buenos Aires, coming up with an idea. It's like writing some stories that were related to how they felt sometimes as immigrants. So I'm sure there's a lot of other ideas, but the idea of like Gloomy is a zombie in a world of humans, where the humans obviously want to kill all the zombies, and he falls in love with a human girl, meaning that there's a lot of analogies there and metaphors, and like, so yeah, it basically came also from their ideas. Then they found a co-production in the studio that I worked with in Atlas 5 in France, and then together they started to get more co-producers around the world. A lot of people were jumping in Gloomy just because they loved it, and I think there was more like 7 countries involved in that, with an idea that started in Buenos Aires. So I'm going to show a little bit of some of them. Some of you are aware of them. Can you hear the sound?
No.
No, we can't.
Let me see. No, I think, no, I need to re-share my screen again. This is one of the funny things of.
Yeah, what we tried earlier was playing the video via the player, via
share computer
player.
sound.
Yeah.
I think it should work now.
Okay, great.
Oh no. Working?
Shitty
Have you
sound,
ever
but it's
felt
working.
like you were living in a ceaseless
Okay,
repetition? In a world of miniatures, routine is everything. Everything is just the same, just like it has always been. Until it's not. Have you ever felt like you were living in a ceaseless repetition?
Great. So, as well, many of you have probably seen it, but like I love the line, mainly because there's something that I really admire of creators when they're able to tell like a local story in a universal way. So this was clearly a case of someone who was telling a story about themselves and about where they live, the places. They're not in a way ashamed of using the references and exposing it in a universal way. So they even use Rodrigo Santoro, which is a Brazilian actor. So and it was really important for them to stay, I guess, true to their roots. And you can see that in the experience. You can clearly see all those references. And I think, it's probably one of the reasons why they end up getting the Lion Award that everyone is dying to get every year, and it went to Brazil, which was well deserved. So yeah, definitely follow their studio, follow Brazil, because they're really strong, and most of the things that they produce are relevant in the international field. Then we have Haifa. Haifa is a project that started with Natalia and Sebastian, and a team of developers in Santiago for the Museum of Fungi in the center of Santiago, and they wanted to do an installation there to allow people to get into the microscope world of fungi and understand the connections that happen in that level. But they lifted, and I think they elevated to the point that, again, this was not a local story in the sense that it's not necessarily about Chile, but it's a story that otherwise would have started and end in a local museum. But I think in the way they used the medium and the way they translated, they told the story, they elevated to a point that it went way beyond Chile, way beyond Latin America, and up to Sundance and other festivals. So right. And this is. So yeah, for me, it has a really special voice that I think it's what's happening right now in VR, that everyone around the world is trying to find a voice and understand the medium at the same time. And sometimes happy accidents happen, or just like pure talent. And it shows that they can definitely happen, like come from anywhere. There's no limits at this stage. This is the installation. I think this is the one at Sundance, because it was part, the important part, apart from the VR thing, was like what is happening around you. How was, like, they were controlling your movements. They weren't letting you touch those like things that look like plastic. That's actually fungi. Made and printed in and that's how they had the installation in Chile when I went to see the museum. Yeah, and if you can see that, well, this is not both Natalia and Sebastian, but you can see that they also used some local craft people to create the rag to represent the different types of fungi. So when you were there, you're asked to take your shoes off. So you were feeling different textures in your feet. So yeah, and this is Haifa. I really hope that the museum opens again and it stays there, so everyone in Chile and whoever is visiting can go back and try it. And then obviously this is a little, it comes from a little space, like place in my heart, because I first saw Gloomy as a fan, as a VR enthusiast, and I fell in love with it. And thanks to Atlas 5, when I joined them, I was like super happy that I was able to help a little bit with this. And as I say, it's a project that comes from two directors and a team in Buenos Aires who wanted to tell their own story, a story that they started to draw, they started to like figure out in a natural process. And I'm sure, I haven't talked with them about this, but I'm sure that at some point there was this kind of, I don't know, the temptation of saying like, maybe VR is too big. Maybe, I don't know how, which I guess every creator has, but that idea that why should we tell this story? Is anyone gonna like give a damn about it? So I'm really happy that they did. They managed to find a way to make it happen, and they never give up.
There was a time when the sun got tired of the idiocy of humans and decided to hide and never rise again. And war broke out between the living and the dead. Maybe if the humans had tolerated their love, things could have turned out another way.
And also I think it's important also to, because when you see Gloomy Eyes, it looks like it doesn't look like it has anything local. And I've been through the process with them, and I saw how many things are inside Gloomy that are part of their world, of Argentina and also of Latin America. And there were two things that I remember that were that I loved. I love that they wanted to keep them there, because there was always like discussions and things. But one of them is that the directors, there was a point where the bad guys take like a massive van, like a truck, to go and follow Gloomy to kill him. And when we were discussing about the sounds of that van, they sent a folder of recordings of something that happens a lot in South America, in Latin America, and in Spain too, which is that sometimes there's like a van or a truck that goes in the streets and they're selling something, and they're like shouting with a loudspeaker. They're like selling stuff to everyone. And it's not happening that much now, but I think, so they had these recordings and they wanted to keep that. They, for some reason, that was really, really important for them to keep that track with the sound, that sound that everyone who's been in South America, Latin America, feels familiar when you're in the streets and they're like loudspeakers selling you a lot of stuff. And I thought that was incredible, because when I was in Venice showing Gloomy to a lot of people noticed that and told me, and especially Argentinians who were there, and I didn't even know them or told them, and they were like, I thought I heard like some cars, like the Argentinian cars that go in the streets, and I remember months before that they wanted to keep that kind of identity there. And then also the idea that most of the, like we have 4 different narrators with 4 different languages. So we have Colin Farrell, there's a French actor also, there's someone in China, and for the Spanish one, they chose someone that meant a lot for them, which is, funnily, is not Argentinian, he's from Uruguay, called Jorge Drexler. And I remember it was also like a really important decision for them. It's like, obviously you need to keep your roots, you need to keep identity or something that brings, that means something to you, and then expand it so it means something for everyone else. So I guess, I think, this is the end of the slides. But what I would say related to Stereopsia Latam, which was one of, like I talked with Sylvain, like a lot about it, and with Felipe, and is the idea that it's a mistake to look for talent in the same places as everyone is looking for it. Talent is not going to come necessarily from London, it's not going to come necessarily from New York, or it's not going to come necessarily from LA. The talent now, the doors are fully open, or I see them like that. And I love Latin America to realize of that potential they have, like Natalia did, like Jorge and Fernando and Ricardo from Brazil, to realize that there's no limit and that, yeah, you can create from anywhere as long as it's honest and it follows your identity.